Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So I'm very fortunate to be here again in your Namahatta in Eindhoven, and very happy to see some of the old faces here and some new faces. It's always a pleasure to be amongst wonderful people who are spiritually inclined, and when we meet for such programs, it is for our own benefit, our own eternal benefit. That is why we call it Satsang. Right? Yes?
Translation हिंदी में नहीं कर सकते प्रभु जी?
But then the lecture will double. How many of you don't understand English?
No problem.
Everybody understands English?
No.
कितने लोग नहीं करते हैं? Then somebody can translate for her if it's only one person. That's my suggestion.
नहीं दो तीन है प्रभु जी.
और कौन है यहाँ पर? Who doesn't understand English?
थोड़ा बहुत छोटा मोटा हिंदी भी में कर
Okay, I'll try.
देना.
Right. Up to what time do we have? Because I need to keep in mind the time frame also.
Take your time.
Okay. So as I was saying, मैं ये कह रहा था satsang. What is the meaning of satsang? What does satsang mean? We use this. Most of the people who are from the Indian background, they are aware of this word, and even those who have joined our wonderful, glorious ISKCON movement. What does satsang mean? I want to make it a little interactive. I want some participation. Would anybody like to try? First of all, I want to ask, how many of you have heard the word satsang? You've not heard the word satsang? Okay, then put your hand up. Don't be shy. Okay. So, satsang means, sat means, what does sat mean? Okay, that's a secondary meaning, but a good answer. Sat means truth. But there is a primary meaning of sat. Sanskrit is amazing. One word has more than one meaning, and there is always a primary or the root meaning. Sat means eternal, and Sangha means association. So that association that takes us to eternality is known as Satsang. Now, who is that eternal? That eternal is God, and there are different names of God, right? Some call him Jesus, some call him Allah, some call him Bhagwan, some call him Jehovah, and the most appropriate name of God as per the Vedic culture, I'm sure you all have heard the word Veda. Veda basically means knowledge. And knowledge is of two kinds. If you categorize knowledge generally speaking, one is spiritual and the other one is material. And Vedas is a science that ultimately culminates everything into a higher science known as Vigyan. So those who have familiar with certain languages of India known as Hindi or Gujarati or Marathi, the word Vigyan is the same as in Sanskrit. So Vigyan means, a lot of us translate that as science, right? But what kind of science? that science, Vishesh Vigyan iti Vigyan. That kind of knowledge that is Vishesh. Vishesh means topmost or very special. And Gyan means knowledge. Now what is special knowledge or topmost knowledge? Topmost knowledge starts when we have this information and ultimately realization that I am not this body, I am a spirit, soul. And that's not sufficient. That is only 50%. What is the other 50%? Who will participate by answering this? What is, as per the Vaishnava's definition, a lot of schools, I think the echo is very high today. Hare Krishna. I think that's better. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. There are many schools of thought that teach us about spiritual life, that we are not this body, we are a soul. But that is, as for the highest scientists, spiritual scientists, that is only half the information. 50% knowledge. So if there was a question paper, and if it had 100 marks, and if somebody answered that I am not this body, I am a spirit soul, you get 50 marks. But the other 50 marks, to complete 100, there is another component. And what is that?
God.
Sorry?
Krishna.
Yes?
It's another 50% knowledge about God. No.
Okay. Well, we'll give you 25 marks for that. How about that? Because you are slowly leading to the full answer. The other part is that I am not this body, I am a spirit soul. But if I am a spirit soul, what is my function? And my function is Jiver Swarup Krishna Nityadas. Meaning, the constitutional position or dharma of the spirit soul is being an eternal servant of Krishna. And one of the most appropriate names of God is Krishna. Now one may think that it is sectarian. It is a Hindu name. It is not so. It is an illusion if one thinks that Krishna is a Hindu name. Krishna is simply a word in Sanskrit, just like we have different languages. We have Dutch, we have English, we have German or Deutsch, we have Latin, we have Hebrew. Very ancient languages are there, like Latin, Hebrew, etc. So one of the most ancient, most language known to mankind is Sanskrit. Very, very old. And the meaning of the word Krishna, if you translate that into English, it means all attractive. Krish means to attract. Krish means to attract. And Na means all. Everyone. Just not human beings. God is so amazingly beautiful. He is so amazingly powerful. He is so amazingly knowledgeable. He is so amazingly renounced. He is so amazingly famous. And who is so amazingly full of wealth, the most wealthiest. Because he's got all these wonderful qualities, these 6 qualities categorized, he is known as God to an unlimited extent. In our personal experience, we find that somebody who is very beautiful, let's say a stage actor or a drama actor or actress, or somebody who is very famous on the silver screen in the movies, that person, let's say, comes to your local mall, everybody is going to rush for an autograph. because they get attracted like bees that get attracted to flowers, right? Because of the beauty of that person. Somebody who is very knowledgeable, some great scientist or a Nobel laureate, maybe if he is speaking, all the seats are full in the university, and sometimes the seats are not available, people are standing in the hallway, right? People get attracted to people who have knowledge. Similarly, people who are famous, people who have the knowledge, people who have wealth. Some people are maybe looking very ugly, and they may not even have that much brains, but they have so much money. So people get attracted. When they speak at different business meetings, they are the keynote speakers. They are invited to speak, and they attract a lot of crowds. Is it true or not? So all these features, nobody has all of them. One person cannot have all these 6 to an unlimited extent. Somebody may have a lot of money, but they may not have beauty. They may not have that much knowledge. They may not be renounced. For example, if there's a saint or a saintly person or a sadhu, when that person comes, again, the temples, the churches, the mosques, they're full. People are attracted to such personalities. So, the Supreme Lord, Suresh, I think was good before. It was perfect. It's good now. Thank you. So, one person who has all these 6 attributes or qualities to an unlimited extent, in Sanskrit, that person is called Bhaga. It's called who? Bhaga. And Van means one who possesses. So one who possesses knowledge, in Sanskrit is known as Dhanvan. One who possesses Gyan one who possesses wealth is known as Dhanvan. One who possesses knowledge is known as Gyanvan. And one who possesses all these 6 qualities to an unlimited extent, or opulence, or Bhaga, is known as Bhagavan. So what better name, what can one give to God? One of the most attractive names of God, or the best names of God, is Krishna, one who attracts all. Therefore, he is known as Krishna. So, Satsang, as we started this topic today with the word Satsang, Sat means it will take you to eternal. And who is eternal? The Supreme Lord is eternal. And when Sangha means association. When we are in the association, that is chanting, hearing, glorifying the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Eternal Lord, that ultimately we will also acquire that eternal residence or eternal nature. Everything else that we do outside of Satsang will only keep us again and again in this temporary, ephemeral world that is full of miseries. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that this material world qualities are dukkhalayam or shashvatam. It is full of miseries. Sometimes we think that we are not miserable, but actually we are miserable. Prabhupada uses a very wonderful phrase. He says, cessation of pain, we consider that as happiness. Or cessation of miseries, we consider that as happiness. That is not true intelligence. Supposing if somebody who is extremely sick and is in pain or she is in pain, and when that pain stops temporarily, either because of some medicine or there is some temporary relief, and that person says, I am very happy, is that a definition of happiness? No. Because that is not our natural state to begin with, to being sick. Falling sick is not our natural state. Our natural state is always being happy. Anandmaya abhyas. That's what we are. The jiva, by nature, is full of happiness. Another name of the soul is Satchit Ananda. The nature of the Supreme Lord is Sat. What does Sat mean? Eternal. Thank you. So Krishna is eternal. Chit means, anybody wants to try? Chit means one who is fully cognizant or knowledgeable. He has knowledge of everything. In English, we use the word for God. The definition is omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. So omniscient means one who knows everything. Chit and Ananda. Ananda means bliss. Bliss. In English, it is very difficult to explain the word Ananda. So that is the closest word, bliss. Even happiness is sort of a kind of a haphazard word describing Ananda. It cannot describe Ananda completely. As a matter of fact, happiness can be translated into Hindi or Sanskrit as Sukh. But anybody who knows these languages, Sukh and Ananda, there is a difference. Sukh is derived from material things, and Ananda is derived from spiritual. So Sanskrit is a very perfect language. It has so much meaning, every word, every letter, every syllable. It is considered Dev Bhasha, the language of the gods, language that Krishna speaks. Krishna spoke the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit. Millions of years ago, it is first he said that I spoke it to the sun god, Vivashwan. And then Vivashwan spoke it to his son, Ikshwaku. And then Ikshwaku spoke it to his son. Who is his son? Manu. They were one of the origins of mankind. Man, the word man that is coming, it comes from this word Manu, Manushya. A lot of the words are derived. Sanskrit is the mother language for many words. Even in German, in Deutsch, a lot of the words are from Sanskrit. So, what I was trying to point out here, share with you all is, when we have a spiritual association, it will take us to eternality. It will take us to Krishna. It will take us to the Supreme Lord, ultimately. Because the Supreme Lord says that whatever your consciousness is at the time of death, you will attain that particular destination. Yam yam vapi smaranam bhavam tajeti ante kalevanam. Whatever your bhav or your consciousness is, you will, at the time of death, then you will attain that particular new destination or a new body. So, it is very important to remain God conscious or Krishna conscious throughout our lives. Because death can come to us any minute, any second. There is no guarantee that only after you cross 80 years, death will come. Right? Death can come to a 2-year-old child. It can come to a 15-year-old boy or a girl. It can come to a 30-year-old man. It can come to a 50-year-old, 60-year-old. It can come at any minute, any second. So Prabhupada used to say, our founder Acharya, who preached this Krishna conscious movement throughout the world, more well known as ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He used that word consciousness. Consciousness does not mean that you have to give up your life in family, or give up your job, or give up your school, or give up other activities that you are meant to do with other temporary duties that are there for taking care of your children or your family, or sometimes your extended family, such as your relatives, or sometimes your society, or even your country. So these are all different temporary duties that we all acquire with the body. So we can always engage in such activities, but our concentration should be, our consciousness should always be on the Supreme Lord. While thinking of Him, whatever activities we do, we continue doing. And then those activities, whatever we do, we offer the results to Krishna. We should not get attached to the results. That is very extremely difficult. That's what these are the basic teachings of Bhagavad Gita. That everything that you do, all work you do, Krishna says, do it for me. And offer it to me as an offering. But in this world, it's so difficult. Supposing if I work 50 hours a week, and if I'm supposed to get paid, let's say $500 or 500 euros, and if I don't get paid, I'm very upset. We get very upset because we work so hard. We will start complaining to people. I worked so hard and my boss did not pay me. I worked so hard and I lost that money. I was coming home and I had this cash in my wallet that I got paid and somebody stole it, or my wallet fell or somebody took it on the bus or the train. We are so attached. And these attachments bring us happiness and distress. Happiness and distress. And these are all temporary diseased conditions. So we have to go beyond this. That is known as Vigyan. That is known as Vishesh Gyan. That is known as science. The true science. True science starts by understanding or at least receiving the knowledge that I am not this body. I am a spirit, soul. And if we do not understand that, then unfortunately we have missed the goal of human life. The Vedanta Sutras and the Vedas, they propagate with a lot of stress that Athato Brahma Jigyasa, meaning Athato means therefore, Brahma Jigyasa means one has to inquire about a higher consciousness or higher being or a higher purpose, Brahma, or inquire about spirituality, or inquire about God, inquire about who am I, where did I come from, what activities did I perform that I am in this particular body or this particular condition, where will I go after this, what is is there a God, what is my relationship with God? These are intelligent queries that only human beings can have that faculty to perform. The Shastras say that ahar nidra bhai maituram chat etat narana pashuvi samana dharmena adhika vishesho dharma vina pashuvi samana. Meaning, eating, sleeping, mating and defending. Eating, sleeping, having sex and defending. These four are common to man and animal. Ahar, eating. When we are hungry, let's say we haven't eaten all day and suddenly we get a nice plate of prasad or food in front of us and we eat it, then we are satisfied. So supposing if there was a meter to measure our happiness after or satisfaction after eating, it will show 100%. Just like we have meters, thermometer, blood pressure meter, right? And if that same meter were to be put on a dog or a donkey, and if that dog or donkey has not eaten all day, and then when they get the grass or whatever food it is, and when it is full, you put that meter, it will also show 100% satisfaction. Same thing with sex. It is not that only human beings get pleasure in sex. Dogs also, cats also, monkeys also, animals also, even the small fish in the water, they all get pleasure in sex. So if a meter was put on them, it will also show 100% that satisfaction. And so us on human beings. And bhai, fear. Fear, out of fear we attack. Fear is the main cause. Everybody is fearful. Sometimes when we are walking on the street, suddenly there is somebody walking faster, we look behind, we are a little scared. Why is this person following so closely to me? Sometimes we are walking a little bit in the dark and you hear footsteps, we are fearful. Fear. So this fear is there in all of us. We are fearful of death. Nobody wants to die. Everybody is fearful of death. That fear is there in dogs, cats, rats, human beings, everybody. Bhai, fear. So if these four things is common to man and animal, then what is the difference between us and the animals? Vyasadeva has written very strong words in the Shastra. Dharma vihina, without cultivating spirituality, Pashuvi samana, we are as good as animals. Or we are animals, not as good as. Difference is that we just have a body that looks like human beings. Dharmena adhika vishesho. So we have one, what is the difference? Vyasadeva answers that question. The difference between the animals who are performing these four, eating, sleeping, mating and defending or fearing. Eating, sleeping, mating and fearing. These four functions, man and animal is common. But we have an extra function, which is a fifth function. Dharmena adhika vishesham. Dharma means spirituality. Cultivating Krishna consciousness. Adhika means that extra faculty. Dharmena adhika vishesha. Vishesh means that specialty we have, which animals do not have. But dharma vihina, without cultivating spirituality, very strong words, pashuvi samana. We are like animals. So we should be, and we are very fortunate, those souls who have gathered, who are interested. There are so many, thousands and thousands of people all over the world. The churches are empty, the mosques are empty, the temples are empty compared to the population. How many people are interested in spirituality? Even in the name of God, people find an excuse to have material things that are not even good in terms of their own health or even their own spiritual well-being. For example, right now in India there is the Ganesh festival, and there are so many who are participating in that. But some of them in the bigger cities, they find an excuse. Because it's a festival, we should drink and be merry. So they drink a lot of alcohol. Christmas, Jesus Christ never drank. Jesus Christ was a pure vegetarian. We talk about Thanksgiving. And in Thanksgiving, millions and millions of turkeys are slaughtered. They are bred in the slaughterhouse. So much sin is being cultivated in the name of thanking the Lord. We are imitating and copying uncultured people. Yes, when the British came to the West, they found the Red Indians or the Native Indians, and they had some turkey. They were not cultivating any farm. They used to live on buffalo. They used to live on meat. They were living out in the wild, wild West. They did not know anything about agriculture. And then they would hunt wild turkeys, wild birds, and they would kill them and eat them. And when the British came and they gave them some coffee and some other material things, in exchange for thanking them, they picked up a turkey like that and gave them that in exchange. So since then, that became Thanksgiving. This is our degraded culture. In the name of God, we thank by killing and putting plates of meat on our table, and then we offer a thanks to God. How can God be happy? Think about it. Everything belongs to God. Every living entity is a son or a daughter of God. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mamaivamsha Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Every living entity is my part and parcel, my ansha. So, if they are the part and parcels, how we can only say that only human beings are part and parcels? In the Bible, let's go back to the Bible, those who are familiar with the Bible. We had the fortune to study some of the key things in the Bible. In the Bible, in the Old Testament, when God talks to Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, He says, I give you dominion over all that exists here. The flowers, the fruits, the animals, the birds. So what does dominion mean? Dominion means to rule. To rule means to protect. Supposing if you are the ruler, a president or a prime minister of a country or a king or a queen of a country, so they have dominion of the country. Does that mean that they say, oh, you know what, you look so nice, I'm going to bring him to the kitchen, cut him up, and I'm going to eat him on the plate next day. Dominion means to protect. So even animals have to be protected. So, Thanksgiving, Christmas, people in the name of Christ, so much, maximum sales of liquor and alcohol, and the sales are there in all the stores just to make money. And people use that as an excuse. 99.9% of these people will open a bottle of champagne or wine or beer or other varieties of alcohol on Christmas Day, but they will not even go to the church even on that day. So I was originally saying that the churches are empty, the mosques are empty compared to the population. 0.0000 some percent are coming. So that is why those people coming to a satsang, like in Eindhoven, Sundari Devidasi is doing wonderful by organizing for how many years now, Mata?
50.
Almost 2 decades.
20 years.
Yeah, so 20 years she is organizing. We should all be very thankful to her. And also, not only that, try to help her, assist Prabhupada in bringing more souls to this satsang. What did Jesus say? Coming back to the Bible, today I don't know why I'm reminded of the Bible so much. When Jesus was passing by the Sea of Galilee, and when he saw fishermen ready to cast their nets in the water to catch fish, what did Jesus say? Leave those fish. Come, follow me. I will make you a fisherman of men. What did that mean? That meant that Lord Jesus Christ is a topmost guru. He's a topmost Vaishnava. And he's telling the rest of them, come follow me. And you learn this process of God consciousness. And become a fisherman of men. Go and catch the men who are hungry, who have no idea about God, who have lost their identity. Catch them and bring them to me and preach this holy message. That is known as Satsang. Satsang. Because when we die, whatever our consciousness is, immediately we will be, at the time of death, the soul leaves the body and gets a new body right away. You know, the arrangement is made based on the consciousness. So, if we are always thinking about material things, somebody is, say, in the hospital, an old man, it doesn't matter, any man, lying and he's almost dying. So he's always thinking, oh, he's telling his son is standing, oh my dear son, please take care of your mother. You know, I have that other account, bank account, make sure, you know, you take that money and this and that. So he's talking about business, he's talking about family, he's attached to the family, he's attached to his home. He'll say, and even he will remember that, you know, that upstairs the roof is not so good, it is still leaking, so please get it fixed. He's talking about that when he's dying. He's thinking about all these things. He's thinking about all the problems that he has in business. And then suddenly death comes. What happens? In his next life, he's going to be so attached to his house. Some people are very attached. They don't want to leave their house. They are so proud. Oh, I lived in this house for 50 years. And when they die, they are still attached to the house. So attached. So in the next life, Prabhupada said that they will become a little mouse. And they will stay in the house. Because they are so attached. So these are there. There are 8,400,000 species of life. Sometimes they are so attached to money. So then you can become some kind of an insect that will stay in the treasure room or wherever. And you will stay there with your own money that you don't even own it anymore. But sometimes you have consciousness about something else. Of course, most of the people from the Western background, they don't have to worry about the different Devi Devtas or demigods. But the Hindus have a lot of demigods. They have different Devi Devtas. So they worship them. So then when they die, they end up in their planet. But they are not God. actually. They are all servants of God. That is why the Hindu culture or the Sanatana Dharma, I don't like to use the word Hindu because Hindu is not a word in the scripture. It is an acronym, or not an acronym but a misnomer given by the British. When they crossed into the northwest frontier province, across the Indus River, the settlement that was there, they call them the Hindus. Hindus, people living across the Indus River. And then it became Hindus. Actually, there is no such word in the scripture known as Hindus. But most people identify the Hindus, those who follow different Devi Devatas or the Vedas, the Vedic culture, followers of Krishna consciousness. So the Vedic culture, or the science of the Vedic culture is amazing. Our forefathers used to name their children with the names of God. Somebody was called Govind, somebody was called Suresh, somebody was called Ramesh, somebody was called Sita, somebody was called Lakshmi. So those names, etc., they were given because they know, the great saints knew that these people, especially when they are dying, they are attached to the family. So when they are dying, the person is on the bed. Oh, Lakshmi, Lakshmi, oh, Govind, hey, Suresh, Hari Bol, Suresh, Ramesh, Sita, Radha, and then they die. So knowingly or unknowingly, the name of the Lord came on their mouth. So then they are automatically transported because of that to a higher destination. Because Krishna's name, anybody knows the story of Ajamil in the Bhagavatam? How many of you have heard the story of Ajamil? Please raise your hands. Okay, so I will briefly mention the Katha of Ajamil. Today is also Ekadashi, so we will do a little bit of Bhagavad Katha. Ekadashi is very powerful. Madhavati thi bhakti janani jatone palana kori. Thakur Bhakti Vinod says that Ekadashi is Madhav Tithi. Madhav Tithi means, Madhav means Krishna. Tithi means that date. That date that Krishna loves the most. It is known as, so Ekadashi is Madhav Tithi. Gaur Purnima is Madhav Tithi, Krishna Janmashtami is Madhav Tithi. Today is also Madhav Tithi because today is also Vaman Dev's appearance. Did you all know that? Bolo Vaman Dev ki, Jai. Bali Maharaj ki, Jai. So this is Madhav Tithi. Today is also it is known as Vaman Ekadashi. So in the Bhagavatam, there is a very nice, wonderful pastime. There was one very learned Brahmin who was very pious, and he had a son also. His name was Ajamil, and Ajamil used to help his father do all the different morning activities for spiritual things such as puja, chanting the verses, etc. Then his duty was to go to the market and bring some flowers, some tulsi leaves, some worshipping paraphernalia, fresh. And he was very young boy, maybe 18 years or something like that. And he was also very well versed with the scriptures. He knew the Vedas very well, learned from his father. And very, very pious boy. He didn't commit any kind of sinful activities. He was not drinking or smoking or chewing tobacco or anything like that. So one day, his father, as usual in the morning, he used to go to the market to buy some flowers and tulsi leaves for the worship of the Shaligram. And when he came back, on the way back, while he had the flower bag in his hand, he saw one prostitute in the market. And she was with one of her customers. And she was in a very, very compromising position where she was embracing and kissing, and very erotic kind of display of actions were there. So when he saw that, he stopped and he was just looking and staring. And he got attracted to that prostitute and that feeling of passion aroused in him, and he also wanted to kind of associate with her, with that woman. So what happened is, after that client, whatever she was talking to, that prostitute in the market, after she was leaving, he followed her home. And she was smiling and laughing at him, thinking that you are a Brahmin and you are coming behind me. I'm considered a very abominable woman in society. You should go home. But he was so adamant and he was so attractive. That is the influence of Maya. We get all captivated. That's something to do with our body, which we are not. Everything that is nice for the body we like. But everything for the soul, we don't even inquire. Want to talk about do something. Every day, how much time do we spend on our body? We spend, there are some necessities, yes. But we go beyond necessities. Like taking a bath is a necessity. But taking a bath with a 20 euro soap is not necessary. Or we may need to be nice and clean. We need nice clothes. Simple, nice clothes are good. But to buy a $200 suit, now that is, I would consider outrageous and spending too much money. So we are always, and when we spend more needs of our body, the senses are so strong that the more you give the senses material things, the more it wants, and unfortunately it never is satisfied. Whether one is drinking or whether one is just buying, as some people have what do you call, a passion for nice cars, nice clothes, nice perfumes. And some of them, they spend their entire paycheck on those things. I know one friend back in America. He used to make good money, but everything that he got on the Friday, every week he would buy new clothes. Every week he would buy new perfumes. And sometimes when he needed some money, he didn't have any money in the bank. So the needs of the body, the more we give, the more it is going to demand. So he got so attracted to this woman, prostitute, that he just would not even take her advice and go back. She said, look, you're a Brahmin, you're dressed like a Brahmin, you're a Vaishnava, and you are coming like this, following me in my house. What do you think the society will say? But he was so infatuated, he was so intoxicated with her looks and her demeanor, then she finally said, okay, I don't care. For me, a customer is customer, whether Brahmin or a Shudra. Whether you are a king or you are a beggar, as long as you can give me money, I can satisfy you. So then, he didn't have much money. Whatever he had, he gave, and he started associating, but he wanted to associate more and more. But she is a business person. She needs money. So she said, I cannot continue with you if you cannot give me money. So then he started borrowing from people that he knew because of his father's reputation. And he went there. Now, how many times if somebody comes to you and says, I need 100 euros, 200 euros, if he starts coming every other day, then you're going to say, Baba, I don't have it, sorry. And you're going to turn him away. So everybody that he knew, he had borrowed money just to maintain his relationship with this prostitute. And everybody rejected afterwards. And he still was so crazy. And he still needed money, so the next thing he did, he started stealing. And even small stealing was not sufficient. So then he became a dacoit. And he joined a big group and he used to go out and kill and slaughter people, bring gold, more and more money. And he started living a life with that woman. He never went back home. The person who had gone in the morning to gather flowers for Krishna, he never went back home. He started associating with that prostitute. And more money he had to bring every day. Through this prostitute, he acquired 9 children. And he got old, almost 80 years. 60 years he associated with her. It appears like that. From a very young age, he had found her. So now this prostitute was pregnant with the 10th child. And this time, he was not at home. He had gone out on his loot, on his dacoit spree. But at that time, it was the rainy season. And in the rainy season, in India, it is said that the sadhus or the saintly persons, they, whatever place they are traveling, they stay there for 4 months. And they do Harikatha, they speak about Krishna. They engage everybody in their town or village by giving them Krishna consciousness. So when these 4 persons came to that village, these persons always were asking, because it was the first time in the village, that do you know a Brahmin's house or a Vaishnava's house where we can stay? He was asking the children who were playing on the street where we can stay. It is raining quite a lot. So the children laughed at him and said, yeah, we know a very nice Brahmin. Go there, that house. And he pointed the house of Ajahn, the prostitute's house. So these 4 sadhus did not know. They knocked on the door, and the prostitute who was pregnant, she opened the door. But the culture was such that although she was a prostitute, so-called, she had so much high regards for the saintly people. So she bowed down to them and says, oh, I am so fortunate that you have come to my doorstep. Can I serve you something? Can I offer you something? So the sadhus understood that this is not the place for us. But since she had offered obeisances, pranams, since she had offered to serve sincerely, they were very pleased with her. And they saw that she was pregnant. So they said that, my dear child, you will have a baby boy. We can see that. And when you do get this baby boy, please call him Narayan. Call him by the name Narayan. So she said, okay. And then they probably left and went to another place in the same town, found a Brahmin or Vaishnava's place. But when her husband, Ajamil, when he came back, she was very happy giving the news that, oh, you don't know, today we had 4 great sadhus. They come to our place and they told us that our 10th child, you're going to have a baby boy. Oh, Ajamil said, wow, that's great. And here they also said we should name him Narayana. So he said, okay, whatever. You're the one taking care of the kids. So whatever name you like, I don't care. See, this person who was a Brahmin, who was every day chanting 1,000 Sahasra Vishnu Nam, 1,000 names of Narayana, he didn't even bat an eyelid when he said that we should name him Narayana. I don't care. Name him what you want. You see how his consciousness was degraded. Completely degraded. So now he's almost 80 plus. Narayana has become maybe a year and a half old. And he's starting to crawl all over the house. And one day while Ajamil was resting, suddenly he saw that there are the angels of death coming towards him, Yamduts. They were extremely horrible, horrific. The hairs were like hot copper wire. Their eyes were blasting like red coals. The description is given. Horrible. Most horrible than what you see in a horror movie. And they were coming with a lasso, a rope. What do you call it in Dutch? Lasso. The cowboys, they catch the cows. Lasso?
Yes.
And the lasso was meant to catch the soul from the body and drag him and take him to hell. Because of all the 60 years plus of impious activities, that he had sins that he had committed. That was a long list that they got from Yamraj, the chief of the death, the god of death. So as they came, he saw and he screamed and he passed urine and stool simultaneously. And his eyes popped wide open in shock. And his little son Narayana, the last born, was playing on the floor. And he screamed his name, Narayana! Just like something happens in the house, supposing somebody is cooking in the kitchen and some hot thing falls, immediately they call out the name of the person who is in the house, right? Either the husband or the daughter or the son. So he called out the son's name, Narayana. And as soon as they were going to grab his soul, 4 beautiful personalities from the spiritual world, from Vaikuntha came and stopped them. Stop. Now you cannot take this soul with you. They said, what? Who are you? I know you guys look so beautiful and handsome and very, amazing. But this is our duty. Our boss has given us a big list about all the different sinful activities, lying, cheating, raping, prostitution, and so many long list is there. So, we are only following the orders of our boss. So we cannot go back empty-handed. So these Vishnuduts, or the angels of heaven, or the spiritual kingdom, they told them, look my dear friends, I understand that you have a boss, but we also have a boss. And our boss's name is Narayana or Krishna. And our boss has said that anybody at the time of death utters my name, whether it is Krishna, Govinda, Rama, Narayana, any name of mine they utter, then they will not go to hell. You bring them to me. So they said, oh yeah? You think that they uttered your boss's name? They uttered that boy, his name is Narayana, the little boy playing on the floor. He uttered his name. They said, yes, we know. But even though, knowingly or unknowingly, if my name comes on the lips at the time of death, my boss, Krishna, says that day you have to bring him to me. They will come to me. And if you don't believe us, there is a few more things I want to tell you. Anybody, no matter how sinful they are, if they wear the tulsi mala, kanthi mala, if they have the tilak, if they have tulsi in their mouth, or if they have sipped the water of the Ganges, sipped the water of the Jamuna, you cannot touch them. They belong to us. Krishna thinks that this is my family member, even though he may be a number 1 rascal, but he is mine. Just like some people have pets, and sometimes the pet, you open the door, runs out. And that pet runs out, and sometimes he does a lot of bad things, like chews on somebody, or somebody's bags, or somebody's leg, or bites somebody. And ultimately, what happens when the owner comes, sees the collar, and says, this is my dog. Oh, but your dog did this. That's okay, I'm very sorry. Please forgive him. And he takes the dog back. So even we are like dogs when we behave like that. We are horrible. But if we have the dog collar, Prabhupada called this our dog collar, the country is. So we should wear it. But we should not knowingly commit sins after wearing kanthi. Not that now because we have heard Ajamil's story, Krishna is not a fool. He will forgive us, no doubt. But he is not a fool. We should not take advantage of that. Unknowingly it happens. Sometimes even the greatest of the devotees, they fall down. They do. Krishna says, so api cheda duracharo. There are some of them devotees who fall down, and there are durachars. They act in such a bad way. But I still consider them as sadhus. That is Krishna's quality. But that does not mean that we should take advantage of that. That's the main point. So he says, you go, you ask your boss, not only taking the name, but these things that we have told you about tilak, kanthimala, etc. So he said, okay, I know you all come from a very good place and we can take your word. Don't take him away until I come back and ask my boss. So they go back to Yamaraj empty-handed. And they tell Yamaraj, my dear boss, we came back empty-handed, although we had a long list. And they qualify for the worst punishment in hell. This person, Ajamil. So what happened? Why did you come back empty-handed? Well, this is what happened, and they narrate the happenings. That as he was dying, he called out the name of his son Narayana. and these 4 wonderful personalities came from somewhere and they stopped us and they said they were Vishnu Dutas. They are the servants of Krishna. And they said, we have no jurisdiction anymore. Is it true? And they also said that anybody wearing kanti mala, the beads with the tulsi, wearing the tilak, all these, is it true? So Yavraj said, yes, it is true. Now we have no more jurisdiction over them. So the point being, coming back to my original point, at the time of that, whatever your consciousness is, but somehow or the other, if you are able to take the name of Krishna, you will be transported to Krishna. But a word of caution, whatever we have done all our life, whatever we have done, that's the only thing that we will be absorbed in at the time of death. Somebody will say, oh, thank you very much for letting us know the formula for going back to Godhead, going back to Krishna, going back to the spiritual kingdom. I can do all the nonsense I want. Thank you. This is my last satsang, and I will do whatever I want. No problem. And Krishna also said in the Bhagavad Gita, if you call my name out, you will come to me. So I will remember that when death comes to me, I will say, Hare Krishna. That will not come. Practically speaking, even when we find, even within our practicing devotees, something suddenly happens, you get into an accident, you fall down. Very few people say, oh Krishna. But many people say other words. Sometimes even bad words. Sometimes the S word, etc. I don't need to spell it out. So, the point is Krishna consciousness. That is why the Satsang is made, so that we can prepare for death. It sounds very crude, it sounds very awkward, but the fact is that whatever satsang we do, this will be hopefully our last life if we do it properly, and we will enter into the eternal kingdom of God. Even Jesus said that. Jesus talked about 2 places. A lot of Christians don't really see what happened is when we studied the Bible and then we studied the Vaishnava scriptures, we saw a lot of common things. And a lot of common things is, Jesus was also saying, heaven, that is Swarga. And he also said kingdom of God, that is Vaikuntha. Used 2 different. And he also said to his disciple, I have yet many things to say, but you do not have the ears. That means there is a higher spiritual science, much more higher, but right now you are not ready for it. So you just take this gradually and become a good human being. That's what Jesus' goal was. As a matter of fact, we heard that Jesus went to the Himalayas and he was meditating for 30 years. And there was some books about how he got enlightenment also and how he's meditating on Krishna. It's very interesting. Because Jesus disappeared for quite some time. Maybe not 30 years, but it was maybe over a decade. I can't remember the exact number of years. And then he suddenly came back. He was gone for several years in between. And then when he came back as a very good guru, as a preacher. And the baptism, etc. He got baptized by John the Baptist. That is initiation. Just like we have initiation. And then Jesus initiated through his instruction to his 12 disciples. So the point being, Satsang, coming back to our original subject. When we associate with spiritual minded people, it will take us to the eternal kingdom of God, to eternal reality, to eternality. And that is the reason why we should continuously associate. And when we get these good things, study it, chant the holy name nicely. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Everybody's either hungry or sleepy. Which one is it? Loudly, please. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Such a beautiful, wonderful Maha Mantra. Mantra means what? One means mind and Tra means Trayati. Trayati means to deliver. We have so many problems. We are crazy after so many problems that one after another they keep coming. Either it is health or family or business or job or school. So many things. And Tra means Mana, means to deliver the mind. when we chant the holy names, not only, this holy name is Mahamantra, the greatest, because it will not only deliver you of your material problems, but it will also deliver you permanently from this material existence and take you back home, back to God, to the spiritual world. When we are addressing Hare means Radharani, Krishna's principal internal energy. Oh my dear Radha, Radha, Hare. That is the consciousness we should have. Krishna, my dear Krishna. Just like sometimes we beg, or beggars are begging. Give me, Krishna, please. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Ram means, oh, pleasure giver. There are so many pleasures in this material world that don't give me ultimate pleasure. No matter I go to big parties till 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and the next day is lousy. It is not so pleasurable after all. And then I do that again and again and again and again. Again, and still I don't get that pleasure. So, oh pleasure giver, Rama. Ram means one who gives pleasure. Please give me transcendental pleasure, eternal pleasure. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I am engaged right now in serving all these different people in my life. But for what? Chapala Sukha Lava Lagire, Vajahu Remana Sri Nanda Nandana, Abhaya Charnar Vindare, Edhana Yavana Putra Parijana Itheki Ache Paratiti Re, Edhana, all this wealth, this family members, my son, my daughter, all the family members, none of them are really helpful to me. Vajahu Hariva, Jivana Talamala Kamala Dalajala. This life is like water beads or water. Water drops on a lotus leaf. When it rains and there is a lotus flower or even a normal flower, if the water is there, how much time can the water stay on it? Barely a few seconds. The water falls on the waxy leaves of a flower, it immediately trickles off. So Jivana Talamala, life is like that little drop of water on a lotus flower. Any moment it will fall. Bhajahu Hari Padanidire. Therefore, I worship you, O eternal personality. Satsang. That will take us to the eternal home, eternal father, eternal husband, eternal friend, eternal master. That is the meaning of Satsang. And that is why we are here. We should chant the holy name and give it to others. That is the magnanimity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, our Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada was situated so nicely in Vrindavan, completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness, completely spiritually blissful. But why did he come at the age of 70, going through so many difficulties, coming on a steamship, coming to New York, Boston, without any money in his pocket? He didn't know where to go, left or right. He had 35 rupees, $7, that he writes that doesn't even last in a big city like New York for even one day. Nothing. But he said, my Guru gave me that instruction. You have brought me here, Krishna, because you have some work that I have to do for you. To give Krishna consciousness, to give the best, to give the people who have forgotten who they are, to give the people who have forgotten the relationship with God. We are not sectarians. This is a universal principle of the soul. It is not Hinduism. It is not some kind of ism. It is purely on the platform of the spiritual soul and God. I sometimes get the opportunity to meet many people and we discuss interfaith, like the Christians, the Muslims, etc. I've attended many interfaith meetings. And we listen to them very nicely, we get information. And some of the things that I present is also because I learn from these people about their own faith. But I always, when it comes my turn, I present Krishna consciousness in the given number of minutes or time as much as I can. But I end my statement always by saying that Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, said that everybody fears God. We are taught right from our childhood, those who are believers, we are taught you have to fear God. But our Prabhupada taught, don't fear God, be God loving, love God. There's a difference. Loving someone means you build an intimate relationship. Fearing sometimes someone means you have a distance. Like you fear your boss, or you fear some minister, or you fear somebody who is in a very high position. You cannot go to his house so easily, or you cannot sit with him and have lunch or dinner with him, or you cannot call him, make jokes with him, or call him different funny names. But Prabhupada said that we love Krishna so much and Krishna loves us so much that we will sit with him and we will enjoy with him. And sometimes Krishna will even be punished if he's naughty. When we are playing games like boys and one of the boys loses, then the same punishment. In Vrindavan, the Gopas who were Krishna's friends, so what? Your father is the king of Vrindavan. And I am only a poor Brahmin. Madhu Mangal used to say that. But you have lost Kana, you have lost the game, so now you catch your ears. And you sit up and down 20 times. Just the punishment like others. That is intimacy, that is love. That is prema. So I tell them that by the mercy of our gurus, our acharyas, our predecessors, they have given a lot of information about God. A lot of detailed information. And if anyone who is sitting in this room can give me more information about God, I am very glad to take it. Because I want to know God more, I want to love God more. We just don't call him by the name God. We have so many wonderful names of God depending on his activities. We call him Gopal because he takes the cows to the field and he is tending to the cows. Therefore he is known as Gopal. Right? So many different names. We call him Govind because he gives pleasure to the cows. And Go also means our senses. When we chant sincerely, when we are in Kirtan, when we are hearing Hari Katha, it gives us so much pleasure. Wind means pleasure. And Go means senses. So one who gives pleasure to his devotees is also known as Govind. We call him Yashodanandan. We know who your mother is, Krishna. You are the son of Yashoda. Like most people in other faiths, they call God. That's it. They don't have any other word besides God. Nobody calls Jesus, O son of Joseph, O son of Mary. Jesus would love it because here you are not only glorifying him, but you are glorifying his mother also. Krishna loves that. Call him Nanda Nandan. Nanda Nandan means the young boy of Nanda Maharaj. Call him Gopichana Vallabha. That you are the most dear to the gopis of Braj. So many different names of Krishna. And Krishna loves them. So we have so much information about God. Who his parents are, who his friends are, who his lovers are, who his servants are, who his cows are. Krishna has names for his cows. Dhuli, Pishangi, Dhauli, Kali, Yamune. Special cows Krishna had. What Krishna likes, we know he loves butter. He will go crazy and steal. Now somebody will think, what kind of God he is that he will go to different people's houses and open the fridge and take the butter? Huh? Very difficult to understand such concept. It's a very, very high concept. So if somebody can give us more information about God, gladly we will take it. Until then, we are humbly presenting you about God, then take it please. And the best means of realization of God in this age of Kali Yuga is by chanting his holy names. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions or any comments? we can try to answer. Yes?
Today's Ekadasi.
Mm-hmm.
Please explain a little bit about Ekadasi.
Okay. So, Sundari Mataji is asking about Ekadashi and explain
What is Ekadasi?
what is Ekadashi. The Vedic calendar has got months just like the English calendar. We also, in the Vedic calendar, also have 12 months. But every third year, there is an extra month that is known as Adhik Mas or Purushottam Mas. But otherwise, 12 months are there. In the Vedic calendar, the year is 360 days is a year. In the English calendar, it is 365. Not much of a difference. And also, we have 2 fortnights in a month. The waxing moon and the waning moon. Right? So, once or twice in a month, once during the waxing moon and once during the waning moon, what is known as the 11th day. Eka means 1 and Dasha means 11. Das means 11. Das means 10. So 10 plus 1 is 11. So Ekadash. So today is the 11th day of the month of the, I think it is the waning moon right now. On the Krishna Paksha. Krishna means dark. Krishna, because Krishna is dark, the color of Krishna. Krishna also means dark. Krishna Paksha. And like that, there are, every month there are 2 Ekadashis. And these are the special days, the days of the Lord, Madhav Tithi. Madhav means Krishna and Tithi means the day that is very dear to Krishna. Madhav Tithi. Madhav Tithi Bhakti Janani Jatone Palana Kori. Bhakti Thakur, one of our Acharyas, Prabhupada's Guru says that Madhav Tithi, this day that is very dear to Krishna, is Bhakti Janani. It is the mother of devotion. Mother of devotion, that means the root of devotion. Bhakti. Jatane Palana Kori, and I will follow this Ekadashi and these other fasting days, like the appearances of the Lord, are also known as Madhav Tithi. Janmashtami, Gaur Purnima, Vaman Ekadashi, Vaman Dwadashi, it's combined. Different days, those are Madhav Tithis. And on these days are meant specially for doing more austerities, to chant the name of the Lord more and more, to hear about Krishna, to read about Krishna, and to minimize our bodily needs. The idea is that on Ekadashi day, we should ideally, our Shastras tell us, we should ideally not eat anything. Not even drink water. Nirjal. That is actually the most ideal situation. But Krishna is very kind. He has actually given provision through the scriptures that at least the least one should do is, even if you are hungry and if you cannot fast, you should not eat beans and grains. Beans and grains should be avoided. Scientifically also, time is very less, otherwise this whole Ekadashi can be a seminar by itself. Beans and grains also are good from the bodily perspective. If you stop twice a month, it also kind of regenerates your body from your physio anatomy of the body itself. It will help you physiologically. Now, how did Ekadashi come about? It is said that in some Satya Yuga, many millions and millions of years ago, Krishna had a fight with the demon Mura. That is why Krishna, one of the Krishna's name is Murari. Ari means enemy and Mura means the demon. Demon. So again, see, we also know who Krishna fought with. You ask somebody else in other faith, do you know who God fought with? I don't know. You ask anybody who Allah fought with? They don't know. You ask anybody who God fought with? They don't know. But we know details. We know God's friends, we also know God's enemies. Therefore, he is known as Murari. Another name of Krishna is Madhusudan. He killed another demon by the name Madhu. Madhu and Kaitav, they were two brothers. So, he was known as Madhusudan. Sudan means to kill. So, one who killed the demon Madhu. He is also known as Keshi Daman, or Kaliya Daman rather. The demon Kaliya who resided in the Jamuna, Krishna subdued him. One of the names of Krishna is Kaliya Daman. So many different names. Anyway, so once he had a great battle with the demon. Who was that? Mura. After fighting with Mura, Krishna displayed the pastime or leela of being very tired. And he decided to go into a cave and rest. And while he was resting, it is said that Mura came inside, or it was maybe another demon, I can't recollect fully, but another demon came and he found Krishna in that cave. And while he was resting, he wanted to kill him. So, suddenly, from his body came out a beautiful demigoddess, beautiful Devi. And she had wonderful weapons in her hands. And she had a good fight with that demon and killed the demon. And then when Krishna woke up, he saw, wow, this is my other enemy, that demon who wanted to kill me. Who killed this demon? And with folded hands, this wonderful Devi said, it is I, my master, who did it. I did not want your sleep to be disturbed. So I came out of your body and I killed this demon. So Krishna said, I am very pleased with you. Please ask a boon. Please ask me something. So she said, my dear Krishna, what can I ask you? There are so many millions and millions of souls suffering in the material world. Can you please, when they have so many sins, they will end up in hell. And it will be a very, very bad condition for them. So to help them, please, forgive their sins and find a way where they can find atonement for their sins and their sins can be cleansed. So Krishna said, since you appeared from my body today on the 11th day of the month, from today your name is Ekadashi Devi. And anybody who fasts on this day will attain liberation. So, at that time, because again, everybody is under the protection of Krishna, Papa Purush, sin personified, came to Krishna and said, look, if these people don't sin, then I thrive in a place where there is sin. I survive in a place where there is sin. Now you're taking away my whole source of survival. How will I be alive? How can I live? And I am also, you are the master of the entire creation. And even I am your servant in one sense. So you have to tell me a place where I can live. So Krishna says, yes. You can live in the grains and beans on Ekadashi day. That will be your residence. You can live where people are gambling, where people are committing illicit sex, where people are eating meat, and where people are getting intoxicated. In such places you can live. That's your shelter. So, this is the concise version of Ekadashi. One should follow this very nicely. If you don't do anything else, if you just follow Ekadashi in itself is very beneficial. Today is Vaman Ekadashi. Today Lord Vamandev appeared. And today is also known as Parasva Ekadashi, where during the beginning of the 4 months, the Chaturmas, Krishna or Vishnu, Narayan goes to sleep. is called Yoga Nidra, transcendental sleep. And today, just like we sleep on one side of the bed, and sometimes we change the side, today he changes his side. Parivardhani Ekadashi, Parvas Ekadashi. They are wonderful. Actually, every Ekadashi has a Mahatmya, meaning importance. And today's importance is the wonderful pastime of Vamandev, how he liberated Bali Maharaj. Do we have time to narrate that pastime, Mother, or shall I stop here?
Yes, Prabhuji, take your time.
Okay. So, it so happened, in the Treta Yuga, there was a demon king, Daitaraj, known as Bali Maharaj. And Bali Maharaj had performed a lot of penances, a lot of tapasya, to please the Lord. And then he became extremely, very powerful. Now he was a devotee also. The qualities of the devotion came because Bali Maharaj's grandfather was a great devotee. Does anybody know who he is? Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad is the father of Virochan, and Virochan is the father of Bali Maharaj. So Bali Maharaj is the grandson of Prahlad. So because Prahlad Maharaj was a great devotee, we sing the prayers, right? Narsingha prayers. Namaste, Narsingaya, Prahlad, Lad, Daine. One who gives great pleasure to Prahlad. So, being a devotee here, he was devoted, but he still had these material desires of being very powerful. So he attained that. He was so powerful that he had conquered all the heavens and also Indra. He had actually tied Indra up, the king of heaven. So now Indra and the demigods or the Devi Devatas were very fearful of him. So they approached Krishna and they said, look, this is the thing. And he comes from a demoniac family, you should do something about it. So Krishna promised, okay, I will be born and I will save this issue that Indra has. Etat chavsha kalapunsha krishnastu bhagavan swayam Indra ari vyakulam. Bhagavatam says that, Krishna, you are the Supreme Lord, you are the only Bhagavan. And your amshas, the expansions, meaning Lord Narayana, etc., Vishnu. Indra ari vyakulam. Those who are the enemies of the demigods or Indra, you are an enemy of them. So Indra said, and the demigod said that you have this Bali is our enemy, and you have to help us. So Krishna says, okay, I will be born as the son of Kashyap and Aditi. So he's born as a dwarf, very sweet dwarf boy. What is dwarf in Dutch? Dwarf. Okay. Right. So he was born as a very cute baby boy, like a dwarf, not a baby boy, but a dwarf. And he appeared as a Brahmin boy. And he said, he assured his mother Aditi, who was the mother of Indra, his brother, don't worry, I will get back his kingdom, I will get back the peace. So he takes the form of a Brahmin boy and he goes to Bali Maharaj. And Bali Maharaj respects Brahmins. He says, please come, my dear Brahmin. And whenever a Brahmin comes at your door, a Vaishnava comes, one should always, the culture is give something, like a donation, flowers. Even if one doesn't have money, the least they can do is offer a nice seat or a glass of water. That is Vedic culture. Money is not everything, but it is the respect that is shown to the Brahmins. It is respect shown to God when you respect Brahmins. Because Brahmins are the mouth of God in the universal form. Krishna says, Go Brahman, it is said that Krishna is the Go Brahman Hitaichara. He is the well-wisher of the cows and the well-wisher of the Brahmins. Brahmins are very dear to Krishna. So when he appeared there in front of him, Bali Maharaj said, I want to give you something. Please ask me, oh Brahmin boy. I can give you land. I can give you lots of wealth. I can give you so many. I can give you fame. Whatever you want, just ask me and I will give it to you. So this Vaman Dev says, Bali Maharaj, I am a very satisfied Brahmin boy. I don't need much. Just give me 3 pieces of land. 3 small footsteps. Well, just enough to put my footsteps of land. And he started laughing and making fun of him. You are an innocent Brahmin who doesn't even know what to ask in front of a big king. All you are asking me is 3 footsteps of land, but I can give you so much more. He says, no Maharaj, that's all I desire. Please give me that. And promise me that you will give me that. Now his guru was watching. Bali Maharaj's guru is Shukracharya. He knew who this person was. This is Vishnu. And he warned Bali Maharaj. Bali, this is not an ordinary Brahmin boy. He is asking for 3 steps of land, but he will take everything from you. Be warned. Don't give him that. You can give him something else. But Bali Maharaj said, no. If it is Vishnu, then he can take it anyways. He is all powerful. And if he is not Vishnu, then he cannot do anything to me. So in either case, I have to promise. And then he asked his guru, or rather Vaman Dev asked Shukracharya, are you going to make the sankalpa? Sankalpa means you take a few drops of water in your hand and you promise. That is the Vedic way, that I will do such and such a thing. So that becomes like an official promise, a formal promise. So then, since Shukracharya didn't want to do that because he knew who Vishnu is, then Vaman Dev said, okay, no worries. He doesn't want to do it. I am a Brahmin. I can do the sankalpa. I can help you do the sankalpa. So he took the water from his pot and he was about to put it in the hands of Bali Maharaj, but no water would come out of it. No water would come out of it. Because Shukracharya, the guru of Bali Maharaj, he was a big materialist yogi. He knew a lot of yogi tricks. So he had entered that pot and he blocked the hole of that pot because he didn't want Bali Maharaj to officially promise by taking the water in the hands and making sankalpa, that I promise you that I will give you 3 footsteps of land. Because if he had taken the water and he done that, it was finished. He cannot turn back. That is the Vedic system. So then, of course, Vaman Dev, who is Krishna, he knew that Shukracharya played that trick. So he put a little stick inside the spout where the kamandal is and he poked in it. And then, when he poured out, blood came out. Because the stick went into Shukracharya's eye. And Shukracharya, from that time point onwards, he became blind in one eye. So the significance of our Acharyas explain that anybody who stops you from worshipping Krishna, from worshipping Narayana, from devotional service, whether even if it is your own guru, you should reject him. And such people, whether it is your family members, your brother, your sister, or whoever, they are like Shukracharya. If they stop you from doing devotional service, they will eventually become blind in one eye. It's a curse. So you should reject it. So Bali Maharaj actually, it is big. One should not disobey the order of the Guru. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Te Kori Agya Aur Na Kori Ho Mane Asha. We sing that in the Guru Puja, right? Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, whatever the words that emanate from the mouth, lotus mouth of the Guru, Chitte Te Kori Agya, I will do it with my full heart. I will follow every instruction. Aur Na Kori Ho Mane Asha. I will not have any other desire. But there is an exception. If that guru teaches you to go against Krishna, then you can reject that guru. Just like Bali Maharaj did that. Bali Maharaj took the sankalpa and he said, yes, okay, take the 3 pieces of land, oh Brahman boy. So then immediately Vamandev, who was so short, he was a dwarf, he became huge like a giant. And with his first step, he covered all the lower planetary systems, the hellish planets. With the second step, he covered the earth and all the heavenly planets. So in one Brahman, or in one universal system, 14 planetary systems are there. Middle is the earthly planet, and there are 6 heavenly planets and 7 hellish planets. So in the first 2 steps, he covered the entire universe. So then he said, my third step. So he tried to, with this action, Krishna knew that Bali Maharaj is his devotee. And sometimes devotees get very proud. So Krishna sometimes wants to teach them a lesson. And what more auspicious lesson can it be when Krishna personally comes and teaches and gives him darshan? So then, you promised 3 footsteps of lamb. There is the third one. Because Bali Maharaj had actually practically, he was the king of the entire universe. Even the heavenly planets he had captured. He had become so powerful. And that was the main reason why Indra, his brothers, and the other Devi Devatas were scared. And they prayed to Krishna that you come and do something. So then, he bowed down, knelt, and says, my dear Krishna, hey Vamandev, please put your third foot on my head. So Krishna is very pleased, and he puts his foot on his head. And anybody who attains the lotus feet of Krishna, how fortunate that personality is. And our Acharyas explained why Krishna did this one. Because he was a very, very dear devotee, Prahlad. It was his grandson. So one of the things that we have to understand from this pastime also is that if we become good devotees, even though our family members sometimes may not be Krishna conscious, or they may be completely demoniac, or they may be of different natures, Krishna is very kind. He will also deliver them. He will also show his grace to them. But first we have to become first-class devotees in order for Krishna not only to extend his mercy on our loved ones, on our family members, not only in this life, but they said that Prahlad Maharaj, when he was asked by Nrsimhadev, I am very pleased with you, ask me, what do you want to ask? He says, I don't want anything except the service of my Guru Naradji. Or if you want to give me something, my father was a great demon, he did a lot of sinful activities, please forgive him and please liberate him. So he said, don't worry about that, Prahlad, that is already done. 71 generations from the past and 71 generations yet to come, they will all be liberated. Because Krishna had promised that Bali Maharaj is second in generation in Prahlad Maharaj's birth line. After Virochan, his son, Virochan's son is Bali. So 71 generations of Prahlad Maharaj were given mukti or liberation. Not only that, because he was because Bali was very dear to Prahlad, Prahlad had a special affection for his grandson. So Krishna also had special affection. He said, I am so pleased with your humility that you have given me your own head in spite of you not being able to give me anything else. He drove him all the way down to the hellish planets known as Sutala. And Sutala, it is said, is very opulent. It is extreme more opulent than heaven. Yes. As a matter of fact, Krishna asked a big palace to be constructed by the demigod's architect Vishwakarma, specially to be made for Bali Maharaj. Yes. And he said, Bali Maharaj, you rule there, stay comfortable, and you rule the entire Sutala planet. So there are 7 hellish planets: Tala, Vitala, Atala, Sutala, Mahatala, Rasatala, Patala. So Sutala is a very big hellish planet, but it is full of opulence. And then not only that, the icing of the cake is yet to come. I'm so pleased with you. You asked me for some benediction. He tells Bali Maharaj, now you ask me something and I will grant it to you. First Bali Maharaj said, you ask me something, oh Brahman boy. And Brahman boy took away everything in 2 steps. And then finally, out of humility, when he offers his hand, Krishna is pleased and he's saying, now you ask me, now that you have given me this wonderful Sutal planet and this palace, I know Sutal has got 49 entrances or 49 gates. And in 49 gates means I have the choice to go out of them from my palace in 49 different gates. So Bali Maharaj is very clever. He wants the association of Krishna. And he asks in such a way, he says that I want you to guide each and every entrance of my palace. Out of all the 49 places. So whenever I leave, I see your darshan. And that's why when we leave our house also, the proper system is to look at the Lord, take darshan and leave. It is always auspicious. Narsingadev, Krishna, Prabhupada. Whenever you leave your house. As a matter of fact, try to, if you have a nice place by your door, keep a nice picture of Krishna. And then when you wear your shoes and when you're ready to leave, offer your obeisances and then you leave. When you leave your house. Because you never know what we can get into when you leave your house. Right? So many unpredictable things can happen. But when you take the darshan of the Lord and leave, everything becomes auspicious. So he says, I want my palace to be auspicious. I don't want that I forget you. Therefore, I want you to remain. And Krishna obliged by becoming a gatekeeper, becoming his servant. Just like Krishna obliged by becoming Arjun's chariot driver, becoming driver. So, God is so kind. Which God can do that? In which faith have you heard that God can become our servant? This is so deep. God is unlimited. If God wants to become your servant, you cannot stop him. Because it is his desire. He is completely free and will. It gives him pleasure. Not that Arjun got pleasure because he wanted Krishna seeing him as a driver. Or the Bali Maharaj got pleasure really by seeing him as a gatekeeper. Because Krishna wanted it. It gave him pleasure. Service comes, everything comes from Krishna, including service. Krishna is the source of everything. Janmadiyasya. So this seva attitude that we have, whether we are believers or non-believers, we are always serving. Supposing if somebody is not believing in God, she is also serving God, family, country, society. That it's the nature of the soul. You cannot take it away. Doesn't matter if you are Hindu, Muslim, Jain, Christian, Judaist, whatever you are. We always have this attitude of service. Of course, the difference is that we want to serve because we want to be happy. That is why we do service. In the material world, that is the goal. But where is this service attitude in the soul coming from? It comes from Krishna. Everything emanates from Krishna. Janmadiyasya. The first Vedanta, the Vedanta Sutra, the first two sutras says that. First sutra, Janmadiyasya. Bhagavatam, first three words. Janmadiyasya. Janam means creation. Adi means everything else, the sustenance and even the final destruction. Yasya, O Krishna, it comes from you. So this Bali Maharaj, Krishna personally served as his gatekeeper, and due to his surrender, and surrender means he became very humble. That is the most important thing. Sometimes we are blessed with so many things. Devotees are blessed with money, with good facilities. But we have this tendency, sometimes we get power. Sometimes we become either maybe in a society, president, or some kind of high position we have, right? But we become arrogant sometimes. We think, oh, I am the giver, I am the doer. But Krishna, through the example of Bali Maharaj, expressed that no, ultimately I am in control. Ishvara Parama Krishna. I am the ultimate controller. And the sooner we realize it, the better for us. There's a nice, I will end with this nice lines that I'm reminded from the Bhagavatam. Prabhupada used to quote this. I think it was one of Prabhupada's favorite quote. It's from the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, if you get a chance to read it. 88th chapter, verse number 8. So very easy to remember. 10, 88, 8. 10, 888. Right? 10, 888. 88th chapter, 8 verse. Where Krishna says, Yasya aham anugrahanami Yasya aham anugrahamami harishye shanai dharam. To whom I show my special mercy, I slowly take away all material things. And why does he do that? So that when we have a lot of material things, most of us, we are attached to families, or families are attached to us. So many other things, people are attached to us. But when we don't have money, most of the time it is seen, Bhagavatam says, the next two lines I can't remember in Sanskrit, it says that even your own family members will run away from you, they will abandon you when you don't have money. And when Krishna takes those things away from you, that means Krishna has shown special mercy so that there is no more attachments or no more strings attached, so that you can cultivate your bhajan. And Prabhupada especially quotes it for his own personal life. There is one Leela in Prabhupada's life, one pastime, when Prabhupada was a pharmacist in Allahabad. In his young age, he was selling medicines. Did you all know that? And he actually was working for one company. But later on he decided that he wanted to open his own business. So one day while he was making plans, he set up, like he had different ideas that he was putting on the paper. And he had worked on it for several months, perhaps several years, on how to execute this plan of business. And in India, at that time, there was I think there was no electricity at that time. So they had this lantern with the kerosene. So under the lantern light, he was making his plans, finishing his plans, finalizing his plans, and suddenly it became windy, the door flew open, and the lantern fell, and everything that he worked on got burnt. He lost everything. Prabhupada lost his family, his own wife, everybody, kind of. He lost even in business, when he had his business. It is said that he could not even make the rent payments. Business never took off to those heights. It is said that even his own servants he could not pay. It was so difficult for him. So Krishna gradually took away everything that was materially related. And when that lantern fell, Prabhupada kind of cried, and he was reminded of this verse. And he mentions that to whosoever I show my special grace, I take away everything slowly. Because everybody else will slowly, the person who doesn't have money, that person is rejected by society, even by your own family members and relatives. And I will end by this last, it's a kind of funny statement, but it's in relation to this. It's a statement in Gujarati. I don't know how many of you will understand, but jo Hindi samajhte hai, you can try to connect it and I will translate it. Na nana nathyo, nare natha la. Meaning, nana means money. That's another name. So na nana, one who doesn't have money, and that person's name is Nathalal. Uska naam kya hai? Nathalal. So then suddenly that Nathalal means a lot of respect. That person means, my dear respected sir. That was what it means. Very respected way of addressing. So, nana nathyo. One who doesn't have nana, then Nathalam becomes a Nathyo. In short form, they tease him, a Nathya. You understand? It's a kind of an Indian culture. Very difficult to explain that. Like how again, suddenly like if you're calling somebody, your grace, your excellency, such and such. Or like for example, I think maybe you all will get this much better. When supposing if somebody is meeting the Queen of England, then she is addressed as Her Excellency Queen Elizabeth, right? But supposing if suddenly Queen Elizabeth loses everything and she becomes a common person, then everybody will call her, hey Liz, come here. You get it? So the person who was called Nathalal, when he had Nana, when he had money, he was called Nathalal. And when he did not have money, he was called Nathiu. So same thing here. When somebody doesn't have money, your own family doesn't respect you. Nobody wants to be around you. And when that happens, that special grace so that you can do more bhajan, you don't have to worry about anybody. This is Bali Maharaj's Vaman Ekadashi. Bali Maharaj's wonderful surrender to Vamandev, and briefly I mentioned about the importance of Ekadashi. So Ekadashi we must do. Everybody. It doesn't hurt. Fruits, milk, anything without grains and beans we can take. Offer it to Krishna. If you cannot do complete fasting, drink water. If you cannot even do that, drink milk. If you cannot drink milk, take milk and fruits. Even if you cannot do that, that's also okay. You will still get the same benefit if you follow Ekadashi, where Krishna says, don't eat grains and beans. Because what is there in grains and beans on today's day? Who is reciting? Who? No, Pap Purush. Pap Purush reciting, because he also needs a special residency. And he is also one of the protected by Krishna. All the living entities have to be protected. So he says, I need a residency. Tell me where I can stay. He says, Krishna says, you can stay here. So please follow Ekadashi. And then if you cannot, then you can do best Ekadashi processes. Don't use any vegetable oil, corn oil, because corn is a grain. Very careful. Some people, devotees also, they make mistakes. I just bring this to my attention because people want to sincerely do Ekadashi, but sometimes unknowingly they break it. So don't use any oil. Best is to use ghee. If you can't find ghee, use butter. Next substitute would be peanut oil or olive oil. That's it. Don't use anything else. Even if they say vegetable oil, don't buy it. Vegetable oil also, in many plants, it is processed. They consider corn as vegetable. So a lot of vegetables are squished and then they make oil out of it. Why take a chance? So you can make vegetables. Potatoes is considered best. Peanuts you can use if you don't have allergy. Simple. The idea of even not cooking beans and grains is like when you make bread or you make chapatis, a lot of endeavor is there. That much time you want to spend in Hari Katha, Hari Nam. Ekadashi means more chanting, more devotional processes, practices. Otherwise, simply take milk, fruits, finish it off, or just take a few vegetables, boil them, put a little basic spices. Spices also actually no spices, just some maybe black pepper if you don't like too spices, maybe a little bit of green chilies, and that's it. Cumin seeds, something very simple. No grains, period. And the next day is Dwadashi. What is Dwadashi Palan time tomorrow, Prabhu? Do you know?
Yes, it's already Dwadashi today.
I know, but still there is Palan. This Palan is always there. They combine it on the Trayadashi. Today is Ekadashi and Dwadashi combined. But there is Palan is also done on Trayadashi. I see. But we have a Vedic calendar in ISKCON that they calculated according to astronomical charts.
6:57 to 7:44.
So 6:57 to 7:44. So we have exactly 47 minutes tomorrow. It's a short period to break. So when you break your fast, you take some grains and break it. And the best way to break, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas break it with Jagannath rice. Prasadam brought from Jagannath Puri. So if you don't have it, maybe some devotees may have it. It doesn't take a lot. Even a small little few grains will last you quite a bit. All you need is one grain during that time to break it. If you don't have it, you can take any grains like rice, or you can even take a small piece of bread. Chant Hare Krishna and break your fast during that. Then your Ekadashi is completely successful. So these are Vedic systems these are austerities for our spiritual well-being. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Vaman Ekadashi ki Gaur Premanande Eindhoven Naam Hansang ki Gaur Premanande Hare Hare.